I said, you better give me this role because Christmas is coming and my son needs some toys and I don't have a job.
Oh, that's why you're in Four Brothers?
Me and Angie watched all your movies. I said, all of them? He said, yeah. I said, Baby Boy? He said, yeah. I said, Talk to Me? He said, of course, my man Don Cheadle in that. And I was like, the next scene she's had an abortion. That's just who I am as an artist. I'm gonna go there. Are you trying to make me cry again?
I'm not. I'm just telling you the truth about yourself. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Jesus. Legacy, legacy. First, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this.
Are you kidding me?
Wow. It's such an honor, really, to be talking to you and to go on this journey of some pieces of your amazing career that you're still building, which is also amazing to think about. So here's what I will say. I thought that I knew where I would start this conversation because I always start with the first time I seen the person or something, the first thing that really broke a person. So I thought I had that. And I'm like ready and writing it down. And then I continued to do my research and I realized, I was wrong. I thought I saw you for the first time, I was incorrect. The first time I saw you was actually on a multi-cam sitcom called The Parenthood.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Season 4, episode 7, Fast Cash.
Yes.
You play Zaria's friend.
Yeah.
DeBrat also is guest starring on that episode.
Sure. Yep.
I've talked a lot with the actresses that have sat here about multicam comedy. I've never gotten a chance to do it. What was that experience like for you being on Robert Townsend's set of his sitcom?
Well, first of all, I thought that's what my career was going to be. I came out here to be the funny girl.
Wow.
I was a single mother at the time, and when I first moved to LA, I was staying with a cousin who happened to be on a show called Minor Adjustments. He was one of the child actors. And I was like, oh my God, you have to get your SAG card or whatever to start working. So I had another friend, Simbi Kali, who was on Third Rock from the Sun. And then my cousin was on that show. So I was like, I can do some SAG extra work. So within 3 weeks, I had my SAG card. So, but being on those sitcoms, I was like, this is what I need as a mom. This is the job I need. It's like banker's hours, And I really came out here to be the funny girl.
What's the most difficult thing about multicam acting, if you would say?
It's not difficult for me because I trained in theater. So in front of a live audience is where I thrive. It's the call and response that I love. Gotcha. But you asked about being on the set with Robert Townsend. I was like, when you're starting off, you always like, this is the one. I'm going to be a star off of this. I thought that about every little thing I did.
You're like, this is it.
This is it.
I'm good.
Yeah.
So I've told you this before about the time. Did I remember this when I went to go see Baby Boy in the movie theater?
Yeah.
You're such the heartbeat of that movie in so many ways. It's a long movie. It is a heavy movie, but it also has so much humor in it as well. I'm curious how the role came to you first.
I miss John Singleton so much. So a friend of mine, we started this boot camp for Bill Duke years ago. I'm one of those actors, like, I have to create. I have to be creative all the time. So if I'm not on set, I'm on stage somewhere. Like, I have to do it. And, I was new. Again, that was after Parenthood, or I don't even know if I booked. Yeah, I had Parenthood under the belt. This was like a lull. I hadn't really worked in a while. Oh. And so we decided to start this boot camp because, we were artists and we needed something. And we talked to Bill Duke and he was like, absolutely, if you can put it together, we'll do it. And we did it at the Hudson Theater on Santa Monica Avenue. And, it's Bill Duke. So he would call some of his comrades in to come and talk to us. And I'll never forget when John Singleton came, we went on break. You do the class and the personal talk, and then you go on break. And I just remember everybody swarming him. And I was like, I'm not going to swarm him. I want him to know me from my work. And so I never went over to him or anything. I said, he's going to see me when it's time to see me. Sure enough, back in the day, we used to get the breakdowns. That's how I knew it was coming out. And I'll never forget, I saw in bold capital letters, he asked for new faces only for this project called Baby Boy. So I called my manager. I was like, "Are you all over this? I gotta." And so I went in. Kim Harden was a casting, and I went in and I read for her, and she was like, you're really natural. You're really good. I'm gonna bring you back in for John. And I went and I sat down, and he said, I remember you. And I was like, you do? And he was like, yeah, I taught you. I came to speak to that class, Bill Duke's class. And he said, you were the only one that didn't come over to me. It worked. Not that I was even trying to do anything. I mean, I meant business, you know what I mean? And I wanted him to respect my work, not just, some girl that came up to me at a class, you know? He remembered that. And so we did the scene, and he was like, my God, you're really good. Like, then he called me back in. No one told me I was coming in to read with Tyrese. So when I got to his office over in Crenshaw, Larchmont to be exact, I park my car, and I go inside, and Kim Harden's like, okay, you'll be reading with Tyrese. I said, what? With who? I said, do I have time to go back to my car? I had to go back to my car because, this is Tyrese, the Coca-Cola dude, So I had to go gather myself. And then I went back in. And when I went back in, some young lady had just come out from her read, and I got water, and the water tank was in the back of the room. And so I was like, do you mind if I get some water while you guys set up? And John was like, yeah, go ahead. And I could hear Tyrese saying, yeah, I'm not an actor. I need somebody that's going to challenge me, that's going to, that's going to bring me up to their level. And I was like, drinking my water. So then we do the audition, which, that audition kind of went viral at one point. And I'll never forget, I remember what he said. And, I'm trained. So I can do it with the paper or without. I can ad lib. I'm off the cuff. I'll fill it in, fill in the blanks, whatever. And so it got to that point where I saw him freaking going off the paper, and I just went at him. And I felt him going with me. And all of a sudden, he was like, fuck you, fuck something. And I jumped up, and he threw the keys at me. And the next thing you know, I just ran across the stage and jumped on his back. And then John was like, cut. And everybody was like, wow, that's it. But what I told John was like, this dysfunctional relationship was actually... I felt, there were times when I read that script where I got goosebumps and I had to put it down because it was literally the blueprint to my baby's father and I's relationship. That young love, that young toxic hood love. I mean, verbatim, like the scene where she's crying because she keeps dreaming about Jody dying. I remember when my son's father was murdered, I called John and I said, the dream came true. He was like, after I called my family and the people that, in my family that I had to let know, he was the next call. And he was like, what? I said, yeah, it came true. And me going to the funeral with my son, that, when anyone goes the closest role to you, that probably was it. And I kind of got chastised a little bit because people were like, where did they find her? She's not a real actor. They found this girl off the street. And for so long, I was known as that girl from Baby Boy. No one would know my name. They was like, that's that girl from Baby Boy.
Oh, the character's name is Yvette.
Right.
And I think what's so stunning about you in the movie is that watching it, again, I'm reminded of the experience of all the Yvettes. Mm. I love John Singleton, of course. May God rest his soul. He's tapped in on Baby Boy. Mm-hmm. I really do implore people to go watch that one again and not just let it be on, because we can do that. Because the movie, we know it all. We know all the lines. Mm-hmm. But when you have to really sit and pay attention to it and about what's happening, about what we're watching, it's a documentation of Black life. And you represent what it is to be a young Black woman in that world.
Mm-hmm. And what that young, toxic love looks like.
And why are we drawn to toxic love? Is it because it's all we know? Is it because it's all we've seen?
It's mom.
Exactly. That was the thing I realized too. I got to have AJ on. That conversation while she's gardening and she's talking to you, And you're like, why won't he act right? Like, what's going on?
And another thing this is what I loved with John, because he would so trusted me. I was like, how come the baby moms never interact? So I was like, John, we don't
the
even.
little girl, and she comes and
She's screaming when I actually goes to. I said, we don't have to say a word, John.
no,
We don't have to say a word, and he did it. We did it, and I just pulled my shirt and showed the tattoo, like,
which is also a hot mess.
hot mess.
And also that the other baby mom's mom with the baby smoking a cigarette and the music playing loud. She knows what's going on. Baby boy is Shakespearean.
Please.
The fucking flashbacks,
womb,
the
him,
womb.
the womb, and then the next scene, she's had an abortion. Seeing the boy in the casket. How many black mothers, girlfriends have that? Come on, it happened. It came true in my life. Like,
it cost you something. There's something I noticed about your performance in that movie, that you sort of suck your thumb as a way of self-soothing. And it really hit me because that's something my sister and I used to do when we were younger.
I used to suck my thumb too.
And to see that on screen, I think also sort of connected me to you, to the character in a way. I was curious if that was your choice. If it
was total John.
Wow.
But the He Don't Love Me No More was mine.
Wow. Talk about a heartbreaking, gut-wrenching scene to play. What was it like being directed by John Singleton?
It was amazing. John was the one who made me understand that my gift was in my eyes. You got to remember, I came from theater, so I was big and I could fill the space and make sure the last person in the back of the house could feel my presence. So I came here really with that. And every audition, they would be like, it's good, but just bring it down. But I didn't know what that meant until I met John. And John was like, Taraji, you're so pure. All you have to do is think it. And the camera is right there. The camera's going to do the rest of the work. He was the one who picked that up. He also noticed my humor and my comedic timing because he called me Lucy. Ooh. That's what he called me, Lucy. And I studied Lucille Ball. I studied Carol Burnett. I also studied Betty Davis, and his mother she's been calling me Betty Davis Eyes since I met her.
Wow. It's so interesting you say that, because as you pulled up today, as we were all waiting patiently, excitedly, I was standing by the window, just sort of going over my questions again, and the car pulled up, and you got out with the sunglasses and the hair and the coat, and I was like, yeah, we too have Joan Crawfords. We too have Betty Davises. We too have that.
Yeah.
And it's not even about comparing us to whiteness, rather, but to say that we have our own.
Yeah, and you got to remember, like, growing up, we didn't have those examples. So I had to defer to, Betty Davis and Lucille Ball, because that's what we had.
Yeah.
And they were getting the roles that intrigued me, the things that I said, I want to do that one day. Diane Carroll, but did she get all the roles she should have gotten? So I had to fill it in some kind of way.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And I love what you said about that, because that's the thing that really gets me about Baby Boy, is that 1 minute I'm really just sucked in and locked in. And that's when I'm laughing.
Yeah.
I'm cracking up. And I just think that's such a rare thing. And so did you find it, I don't want to say easy, but you find it natural to play in both of those sandboxes in that film?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always going to add comedy to anything I do. I don't care how serious the role is, because that's life. We could laugh at one thing and in the next breath we're crying about the same thing. And that's a three-dimensional character, in my opinion. And I probably should have done stand-up comedy, because the humor really is an armor to hide. And that's most comedians. But that's what that is for me, and even my characters will lean onto something funny because they don't want you to see too much,
That's beautiful.
It's always added.
That's real. You mentioned a movie that I'm excited to talk about next, that I felt sort of shifted things in me, and I think in the industry in a big way. The way it was shot, the way it was performed, and the energy that came with it. And I'm talking about Hustle and Flow.
Oh, yeah.
It's the first time we get to see you and Terrence Howard, together. And I was sort of thinking about you two because chemistry is a hard thing to describe and to talk about, but there's just sometimes a magic that happens between two actors that we continue to want to see. I think about Angela Bassett and Lawrence Fishburne.
Yep.
I think about you and Terrence in that way. What was it like the first time you two were in a scene together?
I'll take you back to the audition, which happened at the same location that Baby Boy did. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Larchmont, John Singleton's office.
Of course.
I remember John sent me these. I got something for him. I got something, Lucy. I need your eyes. I need your eyes. So he sent me the script. He said, you pick. I don't care which character you pick, but I need your eyes. Shug just jumped into my heart because she was the diamond in the rough. She was the one that I knew I wanted people to see her and want to do something, help her, save her, hug her, something, And she was the mouse who found her voice. And I was like, that's who I want. And he said, good, because that's who I wanted you to play. And so he calls me in. I go audition. This is funny. Memphis, hot, summer, poor. My face was greasy. My hair was sticking up all over my head. I put a pillow under my shirt. I did the whole thing. Killed the audition. Terrence was looking at me like, who is this? And killed the audition, right? But John called me and was like, Taraji, you killed that shit, Lucy. But you can't be looking that gutter. I was like, John, come on. They lived like, they're poor. Like, it's hot. She's eating crackers. She ain't got no money. Like, that's not a glamorous role. Like, I had to fight them to not wear makeup. That's just who I am as an artist. Like, I'm gonna go there. I don't care if it's toothless, I'm blacking my teeth out. Like, that's just, I don't do it for glamour. I do it for the people who need to see themselves. And I know that girl needed to see herself.
I mean, truly, what was so fascinating to me was just how drastically different. I'm going from obviously almost one extreme to another. How did you prepare differently for that character? Because your voice, obviously, how you're speaking, the way in which you're speaking, obviously the character's pregnant, and then eventually you have to sing. So what was the preparation? How was it different on Hustle and Flow than it was, say, for Baby Boy?
Well, Baby Boy, again, was very close to me.
Right.
For me, it was about the vulnerability and how much of my own skeletons I wanted to share, right? And I had to lean in, I had to let a little of my pain bleed through hers, Now, Shug, totally different. Not my experience at all. I grew up in D.C., but my mother used to ship me down to the country every summer, if you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
I mean, the day school's over, my shit was in the trunk.
Bye-bye.
Because she needed a break. And I would go down there and I would spend my summers with my grandma. And I would be the only, I got a big-ass family, but why was I the only one to get sent down the country? From the city girl to I'm talking, you can't see your hand in front of your face at night. That country. Back roads, dirt roads, no street lights, no lines in the road, just a road. And I used to fight it. I used to send, please come give me your board. And I'd cry, but that's where I was my most creative. That's where I would live and work these different characters in front of the mirror. And because I had no one else to play with, but now that I'm older, I'm so grateful I had those moments because those Southern women that I spent time with, I use in all my characters, especially characters when I have to play a Southern woman.
Yeah.
I'll never forget Craig Brewer. We were just about to film the first scene, and somebody was coming to the house. Shug was opening the door, and I remember I looked to the left, and I saw a bottle of baby powder. And I was like, wait, hold up. And I took the baby powder and I put it here. And I said, okay, I'm ready. We did the scene. Craig got up from Video Village. He was like, you are so fucking brilliant. But see, I wouldn't have known that if I didn't spend time in the summer. Time in the South in the summer because you don't want to chafe, women with the thick thighs, And so if I stayed in the city, if my mother kept me in the city, I wouldn't have known that one little detail.
Wow. So you're really speaking about how you use life as
Yeah.
your, just what you pull from your toolbox. Because, and also that, my grandmother's a Southern woman, so she would do the powder. So it's those things that we see ourselves in. You keep bringing us with you onto the screen. Now, I talked about Hustle and Flow being a big cultural shift. I feel like you're a part of things that move us forward. Could you feel that on set and after the movie had come out? Could you feel that energy surrounding Hustle and Flow? Because there was a lot of energy surrounding that movie.
I knew it was special, but you never really know what you're doing until it's about to come out or it comes out, right? And so when I knew we had done something special was when went to Sundance, and I remember JetBlue. Every seat was sold. It was everybody's going to Sundance. And I just hear everybody, Hustle and Flow. You heard about Hustle and Flow? You heard about Hustle and Flow? And I'm in the seat. Then we get there and we screen the movie. And you talking about 1,500 seats, standing room only. There were people standing in the aisles, sitting in the aisles, mainly white. And when Whoop That Trick came on, you could see the fist. I'm talking about Marge with white hair and her husband, Billy Bob, sitting there. And they're like, Whoop That Trick. And I was like, what the fuck have we done?
It's hard out here for a pimp.
It's hard out here for a pimp. Then we get to the Oscars. And, I get to sing the song.
I mean, what also was that like singing at the Oscars?
Okay, that was weird. Singing about pimps and hoes.
Look, I enjoyed it though, being a young person watching that ceremony.
It was a little strange.
But you know what? It just meant that this is art as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it should be acknowledged, it should be celebrated, and it should be respected.
Yeah. But Craig said something that meant the world to me. And simultaneously, my dad was on his deathbed, by the way, 2 weeks before I got to sing. And my father told me since I was a little girl, you're going to be one of the greatest actors in the world, and you're going to win an Oscar. He always kept telling me I was going to win an Oscar for playing Diana Ross, because he always said I looked like her. But he was telling me that since I was a little girl. And, I remember calling him when we knew we didn't have long, and I was like, Dad, I made it to the Oscars. I didn't get nominated, but I get to sing. And he was like, it's hard for us when it comes to stuff like that. He said, but baby, I'm proud of you. So 2 weeks before the Oscars, they called me home. They was like, he's not going to make it. And I remember taking him the letter, and at this point, he couldn't even respond. His liver, all his organs were failing him. And I just remember him looking and reading, and his eyes were fluttering, and he had this deep smile on his face. But simultaneously, I look over, my son is sliding on the floor because this is his hero. Wow. Anyway, he didn't get to see me sing. And I had to compartmentalize his death, So a lot was going on when I was on that stage. I had to smile and grin and get through it. But I remember leaving and slipping into a depression because I didn't have time to deal with, and my father died on me in the room. Like, I was the one who had to release him. Wow. And so that's, whenever I think about the Oscars and stuff like that, it's always I can't say always something, but, that always is a double hurt because my dad never saw it. He never got to see me. He never got to see me get the Oscar that he always told me I would get,
Well, I'll tell you, that performance is one that I think no award could ever even honor what you're doing on that screen, because yes, you're trained and it's obviously craft, but it's also something that I think is God-given. And it's just a beautiful performance.
Thank you.
Can we talk about Four Brothers?
Oh, yeah.
It's funny, I noticed that Ruth Carter did the costume design for that.
Mm-hmm. And she also did for Baby Boy.
What was that experience like working with, I think of her as an icon?
First of all, a Black woman in that position just was like, whoa, to me. I'd never seen anything like it. And I never forget, she designed my outfit that I wore to the premiere, Baby Boy premiere.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I went to her, I was like, I have this idea. She was like, what is it? And she put it there. I still have it.
I was curious, How were you different walking onto a set with John Singleton on that set than you were the first time you did?
We're friends now. At this point, it's like, what's up, John? Where we going for dinner after this? I had to beat him up for that role, actually. They didn't want to hire anyone from the States, saving money. Because we filmed it in Toronto.
Right.
Right. So they wanted to hire a Canadian actor. And I said, now, listen, you put Tyrese in another movie, and then you're not gonna put me in a movie. First of all, you put him in Fast and Furious. Like I would beat him up over so much stuff. He said, Lucy, your audience is gonna want more from you. This role is too small. I said, I don't believe in small roles.
I don't either. That's why we're talking about it right now.
Yeah, I said, I don't believe in small roles. I said, you better give me this role because my son, Christmas is coming and my son needs some toys and I don't have a job.
Oh, that's why you're in Four Brothers? Okay.
Right, basically.
Okay, I love that movie.
But again, I do my thing. And they started writing more because I don't believe in small roles.
Oh, so it wasn't that, so it grew after you got cast or once you were on set?
After I got cast. And once they started seeing what I was doing with the characters, they started writing a little more here, a little more there.
What was it like working with Andre 3000?
Oh my God. That man takes my breath away. I just love him as a person. He's so not affected by it. And he was like, to me, the biggest star on the set, to be quite honest. But he would be like, yo, what you doing? Let's go to the movies. And I'd be like, okay. And he'd pick me up in his rental car. He didn't stay where all the other guys stayed. He stayed in the little lofts off the beaten path. And he and I would get lost in the streets of Toronto, and he would pull over and be like, yeah, mate, can you tell us how to get to the AMC? And then they would be like, go down here and turn. As soon as they figure out who it is, we take off. He really made me see that I didn't have to be affected by all of the stuff, that you could still be who you are. And because I consider myself regular, people put that stuff on us. I still do my own grocery shopping.
Is it just like you staying close to your own humanity?
Absolutely.
And to find someone else's in the character?
That's the only way.
Wow.
If I'm above it, how am I transformed in any way,
Yeah. There's another movie of yours that I loved so much when I first saw it in the movie theater. And I still think about it to this day. And I was happy to go back and spend some time with it. It's a movie called Talk to Me.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought this one up.
Kasi Lemmons, for me, she changed my life. I mean, her work with Eve's Bayou just changed me. How did this role come to you? How did you hear about it?
I heard, okay, let me see if I can get this. It was so much going on at the time. But I remember getting the script and I was like, I have to do this. I'm from DC. This is my jam. I'm a 70s baby all the way. What? This is a no-brainer. I did all my research. And I walked in there and I know I nailed it. I said, this belongs to me. And day after day, I didn't hear that I got it. I called Craig Brewer. I called John Singleton. I called everybody. I was like, you call Kasi and tell her it's me.
Call your girl.
Call her and tell her it's me. And then when I spoke to Don Cheadle was like, I was telling her, it's her. It's her. So that one didn't come easy. I was scrappy about that one.
What was it like being directed by Kasi Lemmons?
It's amazing. I think at that point, that was the first time that I was directed by a woman, to be quite honest.
Wow.
And, it's Kasi Lemmons. What? And it's Don Cheadle. What?
You're leading me to my next question. What did you learn from her as a director?
Just women, our approach is very nurturing. You know what I mean? The way that she wanted to show Black men, love on each other, the highs, the lows, that I think only a woman could portray that. You know what I mean?
I think it's just beautiful to watch you and Talk to Me. I remember watching it, but then when I watched it for the first time.
But watch it tonight.
I'm telling you, it holds up. It's amazing, and you just feel held the whole movie.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's amazing. Now we come to a movie that I think is such a triumph, and it's an epic, really. And I got to see it in the movie theater. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Wow. Yeah.
What just a stunning piece of cinema. The work you're doing is really obviously layered and just, I think, timeless. I think that performance is Queenie. Getting a chance to watch it again, I get to see even more details in your performance. Did you know about the short story before
No,
the
I
script
did
came to
not.
you?
I did not until I got the script. And I was like, wow, they built this whole world around this little bit of a story? That blew me away.
What was the David Fincher experience like?
Amazing. Like, he pays attention to the leaf on the tree behind your head. Like, once he's got your performance, he's like, wait a minute, can we? Like, he's looking at the crack in the wall. Like, I don't think I've ever worked with somebody who was that paid attention to, like, that kind. Because usually that's scripty. Oh, what's that weird thing? No, that's David Fincher. And he's going to shoot it until he gets it. But what I realized is that the crew actually, every time I would come, I had to work. They were like, yeah, we're going to go home early today. Because for some reason, he didn't do as many takes with me.
Wow. I mean, your performance is just, it's just pitch perfect. What were you thinking about every day when you were coming to set? Because I also was wondering if you had a vocal coach, because it's period, it's New Orleans.
Did.
Okay, so you had someone helping you with the accent.
Yes.
Was that, because you're doing so much in that performance, how much is your brain like just spinning when you're on set trying to be grounded and real, but also you're doing so many things at once?
For me, it's the preparation.
Okay.
Once I have the character, once I know who she is, I throw it all away and I'm there.
Okay.
I'd done so much work because that's a certain period.
Right.
Women held their bodies differently. Like, it's just a different mindset. This woman and she lived with death.
Yes.
She lived with death.
Taking care of the elderly.
I mean, I did so much research because that's like one generation away from, or just not years off from slavery.
Correct.
You know? And so I had done so much research that by the time I got to set, I was there.
How much, in terms of the research, how much time did you have to do that research, and what is that research consisting of?
Oh, like I said, I listened to, they had this, remember, there were the recordings of actual slaves.
Yes, the slave narratives.
The slave narratives, yes. I listened to that. Again, remember, I spent my summers down south. Them women, girl, you smelling yourself, you know? So that Southern woman, I know her because I spent summers with those women. So I brought that in, researching the slave narratives, the music of that time. You know, Bessie Smith. Yes. I mean, I listened to all of that music, doing research on what it is to take care of elderly. What does that look like? People shitting on themselves and you got to clean them up, and death, like living, knowing that somebody's going to die today.
Right. And I think there's also a warmth that you bring, and that you give them dignity.
Oh, absolutely. I'm probably the last person they're going to see.
Exactly.
Some have been put in there, forgotten about by family, you know. And the fact that he really cast a lot of elderly people, a lot of the cast didn't make it to the... You know, what was it? The Sergeant George, the one that would raise the flag.
Yeah, naked.
Naked. He passed away before the premiere. He had to recast one of the grandmothers, and she didn't make it. Like, it was a lot. But it was amazing. I have an affinity for elders because there's so much wisdom. They have so much to share, and just so much life. And then just praying that I get to see the years that they've seen, you know. And it's crazy because I had already lost my dad. I was losing a cousin when this happened. And I'll never forget the day that we filmed Queenie's scene when the funeral, and I was in the casket. That was the day I couldn't make it to my cousin's funeral. And I remember laying in the casket, and they aged my hands, and the the prosthetics kept peeling up on my left hand. And I kept calling makeup over. I was like, my hand is peeling, because I know Fincher would see it, even though I'm in the casket. And I remember we wrapped, and I called my aunt, and I was like, hey, how did the funeral go? She said, everything was beautiful. She said, but rigor mortis set in his left hand.
Wow.
And that was my cousin. He used to do drag shows, and it was my responsibility to find him shows when he came to LA.
Wow.
I mean, we were like this. And I'm so glad that when I went home, before I had to go back to filming, that I went and I looked into his eyes and I kissed him on his forehead, and I said, I love you. I love you so much. And he was in and out of consciousness. And I just remember him looking at me, he's smiling. And so I didn't feel guilty about not being able to go to the funeral. But we were there. Like my hand, his left hand, like what?
That's such a common thread of like a spiritual connection between what's happening in your life and what's happening in your work. And I think that also, speaks to why the work kind of lingers with us, and I think sticks to us in a different kind of way, because it's not just craft, but it's you pulling. It costs you something.
Yeah.
This work has really cost you something.
Yeah.
I can feel that, and I'm deeply, deeply grateful for all the sacrifices you continue to make for the work that you do.
Thank you.
The first time I seen you with Mahershala Ali in this movie.
Yeah.
He's such a stunning actor,
he
obviously.
Really is.
He deserves those 2 Oscars. What was it like working with him?
He was perfect. He was as gentle as that character needed to be, on and off screen. Just a gentle man. When I say it's one thing to be a gentleman, but a gentle man. And he pulled out the softness of Queenie. It was beautiful to see this woman be soft and beautiful when her man comes to visit her after taking care of Boston. You get over here and let me watch. You put that. And then her get so soft when this man comes. Like that. It was just so beautifully written. It really was.
Stunning.
He was perfect.
Yes.
I was like, we gonna know you. And then look.
But that's the special thing about, I think, going back and sitting with these movies, because obviously I'm going back looking at you, but then I see, I'm like, Mahershala, what? And just being, amazing, and seeing you two being beautiful scene partners.
Yeah, it was so fun working with him.
What was it like working with Brad?
It was fun. I'll never forget when the first day, because, he was on the Oscar run for some other Babel, I think. And so he had been gone. So he comes, and we hadn't seen each other since the table read.
Wow.
And now Queenie's aged, so he hadn't seen me and my makeup and everything. And we do the scene, and they yell cut, and he looks at me, he gets up, and he goes over to David Fincher. He's like, where the hell did we find her? She's incredible. Fincher tells me this later. So, cut to, we put the movie in a can, we come back, and we have to do reshoots like about a year later.
Wow.
Or however many months or whatever it was. And so he said, yeah, I know you now. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, me and Angie watched all your movies. I said, all of them? He said, yeah. I said, Baby Boy? He said, yeah. I said, talk to me. He said, of course, my man Don Cheadle and that. And he was like, and then to see you like this, he was like, whew. And I was like,
I love that he did that.
Me too. That made me fall in love with him even more. Because he's a real guy. He's a real, I don't even think people realize how real. This guy feeds the homeless, and you never hear about it.
No, he's our generation's again, you talk about classic, iconic movie stars. He's one of those guys. But then I also think of like Mahershala Ali. I think about Don Cheadle, and you also being one of our greats.
Thank you.
Just being able to play with them and to lock in with them. I'll say also Terrence Howard as well. I want to bring that in. Just you're able to get into these scenes with these leading men and really show your prowess and show that like you're not in competition, but you're doing a beautiful dance. It's so beautiful. Obviously, that film earned you an Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Thank you.
What is it like to be nominated for an Oscar?
It's crazy because I remember them going, okay, now get prepared. And I was like, prepared for what? He was like, now they're going to make the announcement. Now, if they call your name, there's going to be a car waiting outside of the door. And you got to run, get dressed. You got to go out there and you're going to do interviews. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, am I running for Congress here? Like, what is happening? Like, that's what it felt like. And I was enjoying it because, again, I still had the rose-colored lenses on. And I didn't realize how political. I didn't get it then because I think I got shooed in because of Fincher,
Brad Pitt, that whole squad.
Right? So I was like, oh my God, it's because of my work. Yeah, it's my work.
Absolutely.
But I learned later that it's the team. It's your work, yeah, of course. But a lot of times, if you can do the work, hidden figures, and if you don't have the team,
and you mean team on the studio,
publicity, the engine, the machine,
the engine of the film.
Yes,
got it. And that was that film was beautifully done, but also a part of a very big machine.
Very big machine.
And I just remember you being a part of that and how significant that was for so many of us. You being at the front row at the Oscars, you being nominated.
Brad made sure I was. He was the sweetest. He just made sure I was taken care of. I'll never forget him for that.
Yes.
And I will love him forever for that. He literally held every time I lost, he would grab my shoulders. Are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. I'm just having fun. I'm happy to be here, you know?
But I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
You sort of need that support.
Absolutely.
Especially from someone like him saying, yeah, welcome, you're here.
When we presented at the SAG Awards, he held my hand when we walked. I mean, he was another gentle man.
Come on. We're going to go back to TV now. Which I love. I'm a TV lover. I love movies, but obviously I love TV. And very rarely do TV shows come along that sort of capture everybody's attention. It's just hard to do.
Yeah.
And also very rarely are those TV shows with predominantly Black casts. That's even more difficult to do, it seems like. But with the introduction of Empire, everything changed. It was like a new day. Yeah. It was like a freight train had sort of come that we've been waiting on, but didn't know we were waiting for it.
Yeah.
How did Cookie come into your life?
I didn't want to do it. Oh, let me just back up a little bit. So I had left Person of Interest because creatively it wasn't it. And I remember talking to Nolan. I was like, please, I'm just not happy. And, and he was gracious enough to get me out of it.
Wow.
And I thank him to this day. And because I didn't even do it. I literally I was questioning whether I wanted to act anymore.
Wow.
I just felt like TV was very corporate. That's how it felt. And I was like, this is not why So I went to do a play in Pasadena. I literally wanted to disappear. But the very opposite happened. Did this play Above the Fold. It was an original piece about the reporter of the guys at the Duke University that got blamed for raping this girl and come to find out they didn't rape her.
Wow.
I played the journalist, and it was an original piece.
Love it.
And I didn't think anybody was going to come in. This is not a theater town. It's not New York. That show, that theater made their money back in the 2 preview nights. When I tell you people were coming from miles around coming to see this play, tell God you're playing, and it's like, please tell God you're playing, honey, because it's going to be the total opposite. Because I literally didn't expect anybody to come see this play. Every night, sold out. Every night. Fox kept sending
execs
to come to the play. My manager at the time was like, you got to go meet Fox. They're at the gate. And I'm like, why are they keep coming here? I told you I don't want to do this show. I don't want to do TV. I'm done with TV. He was like, please, please go meet them, go meet them. And so finally, after they kept coming, I was like, I'm in a play. Like, I have lines to learn. I'm busy.
8 shows a week or something.
You know? And so I was like, all right, I was tired, exhausted. And I came home one day. I was like, let me read this damn script. So I'm reading the script. And I'm like, this is stupid hip-hop TV. Ugh. And then Cookie gets out of jail. And I'm like, wait now. So I was like, okay. But as I was reading it, I saw Terrence Howard. I said, this is Terrence Howard. This is Lucius. If Terrence does this, wow. I'm in. And I remember Lee Daniels was overseas promoting The Butler at the time. And he called me on Skype because we had Skype, no Zoom at this point. And I remember saying, look, I really don't want to do TV, but this character is very interesting. If you can get, but I see Lucius, I see Terrence Howard as Lucius. If you can get him, then maybe you got me. Okay, bye. Click, close the computer. Then later, Lee was like, this bitch cookied me.
Cookied.
This bitch cookied me. Because I literally didn't care. I so was done with TV. And so finally he got Terrence. And he said, you were right, bitch. And I was, because the chemistry we already have.
Yeah.
As a director, that's half the battle right there.
Yeah, but to believe it.
So, and then that's how that was born.
Wow. So, okay. I didn't realize Terrence was your idea. I don't know if you've told this story before.
Terrence was my idea. I was like, it's got to be Terrence Howard, or you don't have me. I don't want to do this. I'm not interested if it's not Terrence.
What are you thinking about, actually, as you continue, as you paint Cookie?
Well, I was nervous because, she could be hated. She calls her gay son the F-bomb. She beats her son with a broom. Yes. But the thing about why I'm interested in characters like that is because if you play the why, then you will gain the empathy from the audience. Mm. But if you just play loudmouth, sassy black bitch, you're going to lose. You're going to turn everybody off, right? Mm. But there was a why this woman was the way she was. If you remember in the first, when they started doing the flashbacks, they was cutting coke together in the garage, right? Yes. When she got in the car and said, I think this is a sting operation. Remember, she was like, something don't feel right about this. They both should have gone to jail. Why did only she go to jail? Because this is what I chose. And both Danny Strong and Lee Daniels was like, oh my God, we never even saw this. But see, this is the job. This is my job to bring the why. She chose to go to jail because he was the talent. If he had gone to jail, she would have been another black woman with 3 black boys in the hood who would have mostly become statistics. So she did it to save her family. That's why when she came out, it was about my company, I did 17 years for your ass, and for them boys. And so when he calls her a bitch, I did 17 years for you. And that's what makes her snap, right? The F-bomb is because she's just going to say what it is. And a lot of people thought if I got the cookie from a woman, but it was actually my dad. My dad didn't have a buffer.
How did you keep Cookie fresh for yourself?
Oh my goodness. Just keep finding the why. I just kept finding her why. There were times when I would clash with the producers. I'd be like, she would never do this, guys. Like, you have garnered so much respect. I'll never forget when she walked in the meeting. Remember when she comes into the executive meeting with that coat on, kiss my black ass. I remember getting men in my comments saying, oh my God, I have this board meeting tomorrow. I wish I had the balls to go in there like Cookie. When I saw that she had the men, I was like, oh, see, she's a hero. And I have to keep her integrity. And there were things that they would try to throw at me, and I'm like, I can't. That's not going to ever fly. We already have their respect. We have their trust. We can't break that. You have to think about all the characters. I live and breathe and sleep Cookie every night. That's my job. And trust me, I know this woman. We would have directors come in. Why don't you try it like that? I can't try it like that. She's cemented. And so it was always just kept finding the why. Why? Why would she do this? Why is she saying this? Why? I was like, this woman at some point is going to have to go to therapy, as I was finding therapy in my life.
Wow. How did Empire change your life?
It made me a rock star. It made me pop culture, right? I was getting called Yvette for a long, long time. And then, people started to see my work. And so I was Yvette. Because at first it went from that girl from Baby Boy. Then it became Yvette. Then people started learning my name. But then Cookie changed it. It made me very pop culture.
Yeah.
And I remember I figured it out one day. We were in some part of Chicago filming. And I guess word got out that, Empire was in the hood and the people were chasing the van. And I'm like, who the fuck are they chasing? And they like, you bitch. They like, Cookie, they banging. And I'm like, please, y'all, stop. Somebody's going to get hurt. Like, when I started going places and people would recognize my voice, I was like, whoa. And I've always been kind of under the radar because I had a kid. I always looked up to Regina King. I always looked up to her because she's the big star, but she always floats under the radar, never, right? And so I wanted to be like that. I wanted to be like, I want everybody in my business. I still like going to pick up my own eggs and produce, I like being normal, And so I wanted that. I still wanted to hold on to that, but Cookie changed that for me.
No, it was given like Black Beatles.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's the thing. But that's what I love. I think you've been a part of so many things that kind of make us sit up and pay attention and lean forward. And it's just so beautiful to see these projects come again and again and again. We're going to go back to the movie theater now.
Okay.
And I really love a period piece. But sometimes with Black folks, when we do period, it can be traumatizing to play people who had it rougher than we did. But this movie is one that everybody loves. As I was watching it again, I had it on the living room and everybody kind of stopped to watch it. I'm talking about Hidden Figures.
Oh, yeah. Hidden Figures.
Did you feel the weight of that responsibility immediately having to play someone that significant to history?
Yes, and the fact that she's still alive and she has a family that's alive. I remember when Ted Melfi sent me the script, and I was like, is this real? Is this fiction? And he's like, no, this is a real story. The first thing I asked was, are these women still alive? And he said, Katherine still is. I said, I have to meet her. I have to meet her. Yeah. And so, sure enough, they set it up and I got to meet her. And I was just blown away by her elegance. She struck me as royalty. It was something about the way she held the dignity. One other thing that kept sticking out to me when she would talk about the women at NASA. She never said I. We. She's the one who did the numbers that got them into space. But she kept referring to us, we. The joy behind her eyes when she would talk about teaching other young kids about numbers. Like she lit up. And she remembered it like it was yesterday. And then just when I got there and her family just welcomed me with open arms, that took a little bit of the pressure off.
Okay.
Because I was like, okay, they no one had to beat them over the head to get them for them to okay me to play. They like wanted me to portray her, right? And so when I sat there, I just watched her mannerisms and I just
The first thing I want to talk about is how tricky is that for you to really be playing a living ancestor and that you have to be in the shoes of a person, of a Black woman who is being treated like a second-class citizen. What is happening for you emotionally? Even though you're really good at compartmentalizing, how is that for you as a Black woman of today who's still dealing with things that we have to deal with, but then stepping into the shoes of someone who had to deal with even more? How was it for you in terms of your performance?
I mean, it's tough when they yell action, but what the sense of relief is when they yell cut and the people around you are real beautiful people.
Right.
You know what I mean? That helps. It's like, oh, I was just acting. This is not real. You know what I mean? Because, Jim, who he was the real hard ass in The Office, is a sweet guy in real life. You know what I mean? And a hell of an actor. But again, when they would yell cut, he'd be like, oh, Taraji. You know what I mean?
I don't.
Right?
It's like I would
so
never.
Exactly. Right. So that's what. And then like Kevin Costner, just
come on. What was that experience like?
Amazing.
A true ally.
Just a gentleman.
Come on. What a beautiful theme to have in your career.
Yeah.
These gentlemen keep coming back.
Wow, I didn't even think about it like that. Yeah. Yeah.
The monologue that you have. Well, the bathroom sequence alone, even before we get to that, is really stunning. I always thought that when I saw it for the first time, but then seeing it again, I was really moved by how it was cut and how your performance is so stunning. But obviously that monologue is really moving and stunning, and it's very memorable. It's not easy to forget. What were you thinking about that day on set when you were walking to do that scene?
Honestly, I was going through something very tragic in my life.
Wow.
A loved one of mine was suffering. And we were trying to keep them alive. And so I was running to the phone. My makeup artist had the phone, and I was like, keep them on the line. Do not let them hang up. I said, and we have to figure out if we call 911, if the cops show up, they might shoot them. We want the paramedics to show up. So I'm dealing with that. I'm running down the hall because I'm trying to be out of earshot so no one hears. So I'm running down the hall in between takes to keep the person on the phone, and I'm running back to do the scene, and this is going on that entire scene. So I was there, but was I? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I knew I had to do the work, and I know her, and she's in me. And again, I have the switch, the on and off. I was present, I did it, and then as soon as they yell cut, I'm running back down the hall. Like, literally. So the running was synonymous. It was...
It's just a stunning piece of cinema. Just watching you in the bathroom, just trying with your hands, and then the delivery of that monologue, it just sort of stops you cold.
That monologue means a total different thing to me because it's the memory of what I was actually going through, trying to get through that monologue.
Whew, something lighter?
Yes, please.
Okay. I've gotten a chance to talk to a lot of actresses sitting here about voiceover work. It's so unique. And one of the movies I watched of yours is Minions from the Rise of Gru.
Yes.
And you're Bell Bottom.
A Bell Bottom.
It's such a great character. Mm-hmm. And your voice, even though I do know your voice, you found something with this character and you're having fun and it feels new. And then a couple of times I was listening, I was thinking like, damn, she doesn't sound like Taraji. She sounds like this character that she's created. And it's obviously an original character and you get to, I think, see the image. Mm-hmm. How did you go about creating that voice and creating that character just with your voice?
It's a process. Like when you first go in, they don't really they have sketches and they kind of have like how she looks. But once they narrowed down, and as they were playing, I was playing, with my voice. And then once I saw her with the afro and the bell bottoms and, her gadgets, I was like, okay, so she's a villain. So the villain has to sound intimidating. And then the 70s. So I threw in the get up on the downstroke and they loved it. And I just played. That's the thing about animation. You can play because it's just you in the booth. There's cameras because the director may not be in the same city or the room with you, so they're on a Zoom. But you get to play. You get to just play until you find it. And I just played and I leaned in. And when it felt right, I was like, this is her.
Right. The movie also opens with your character. And she's just so dynamic and so interesting. And I think by the time I got into that movie, I couldn't help but just think about this amazing career and the range and all the things that you've gotten to do that maybe some actresses before you, generations before you, would not have gotten an opportunity to have a career like yours. And so I think it's also really special that you get to live out the dream, I think, of Black actresses that maybe didn't get a chance to do all these different things.
And that's why I take what I do very seriously. It's not for the glitz and glam of it all. I say often, I wish I could do the work without the fame. I wish I could just go to set and come home and no one knows, because I think that's where people get tripped up sometimes in the fame, because that's a lie. That's bullshit, right? Who am I affecting? Who's going to leave this theater going, I need to make better choices in life? Who's going to leave the theater going, I want to inspire somebody? I'll never forget when my aunts took me to see The Wiz on Broadway. And my feet couldn't even touch the ground. And I was like this the whole time. And I was like, I want to do that. Another time, my aunt took me to see Sister Sledge. I was like, and the people and how I felt. I was like, I want to make people feel like that. I want to give people hope. I remember I had to focus because sometimes when you start comparing yourself, comparison kills. And I was like, I had a real talk with God. And I was like, I want longevity. I want to do the work that people study. I want to do the work that affects people, that changes lives, that saves lives, because that's what art did for me. That's what I want to do. And once I got clear with that, I started making those choices. I was like, this is the one. That's why I lean into the characters that some people might want to run away, because who wants to pay a pregnant hoe? I mean, you know what I mean?
They exist, though.
Yeah, or a Cookie who beats her son with a broom and calls it broom. And you know what I mean? Like, some people might not want to touch that, but I want to bring humanity to these. There's a why someone is like they are. You have to play the why.
Well, you also, I think, bring visibility to people that folks like to ignore.
You have to see yourself.
Yeah.
So many people, like Shug, before that girl was up on that screen, where is that girl in life that feels invisible?
We can't judge the characters.
You better not.
And that can be very difficult. How are you able to not judge them because you find the why? Is that how you don't judge them?
I judge at first, because that's what you gonna do, right?
Human.
That's what I was like, I ain't playing this Cookie, she crazy. They gonna hate, the NAACP gonna get me. And so, but then once I work that out, then I can focus on, okay, well then why is she like this? Let's get to the why, okay? Because there's a reason why this woman is the way she is. And so once I understand the why, then the pressure is off. It's like, oh, she's a real person.
It's so interesting because I can hear the frustration about fame, because look, if you're doing your job well, it's going to come.
Yeah.
But also the therapy and the art is very linked, because we have to ask ourselves, why are we doing the things that we're doing that is creating the life that we have? And so you also have to do that at work. Literally, you have to do that with your character to better understand them. But don't you also think that that's a way of living our life? We could have a better world if everybody asked, rather than judged people, but rather asked why they are the way they are and how they came to be who they are.
That's called showing grace.
We're going to come to another Shug. Your career. And also iconic IP.
Yeah.
You're so brave and courageous. That is in your day-to-day life, but I think it continues to show up in your work, but also in your choices. How scared were you to play Shug Avery?
Scared as shit. Because, come on, then they say, I got to sing a song with Fantasia? What? Okay.
Yes.
I was like, we gonna sing that song? Do we have to?
Yes, please. You're not going to, no, we're not leaving the theater until we hear it.
Oh my goodness. Listen, I didn't watch it. I couldn't
Well, you'd
watch
seen
it.
the movie before.
I'd seen
obviously. You just didn't want to revisit.
I didn't want to revisit it.
Okay.
You know, it had been a while since I seen it. I hadn't seen it in a minute.
Watch it a lot. But, yeah.
It hadn't been on, you know how BET or HBO or something over. I've been streaming a lot.
Okay.
So I hadn't been on those on those services. So I hadn't seen it in a while.
Okay.
So I was like, I can't watch it right now, because I wanted to make her mine. And plus, Blitz's vision was different. He was celebrating our joy. It wasn't about, we've had it so hard. He leaned into the joy, which is our sword, which is our protection, really. It's the thing that the haters want to kill in us, our joy. Even as slaves, we had joy. Jim Crow, we find joy.
Come on.
Even now with all the mess that's going on right now, we out here learning line dances.
Yes.
Boots on the floor. So it was a different approach. So I didn't want to get the wires crossed. And I wanted to make Shug mine because, I ran from her. They had approached me to do it on Broadway, and I was like, hell to the no. I didn't even waste time. I was like, nope.
Oh.
Click.
Okay.
We can't even talk about it. Nope.
Wow.
And then, but again, what God has for you can no man take, because I tried to run again and Shug was like, oh no, not this time. But I felt more comfortable doing it on film than stage because I don't sing like that all the time. Can I sing? Yes, I can.
Yeah.
But I don't train like that every day. And I just didn't think that my vocal cords would withstand 8 shows a week.
Okay.
Singing at that capacity. I just probably could, but I punked out and said no.
You didn't give us that opportunity to see. Okay.
Right. So, but she came back to me in a way that that I felt comfortable with all the singing and everything. And so, because musical theater is a part of my background, I was excited. I was scared as hell. I was so scared. But again, I leaned into fear.
Yeah, clearly. I'm like, which I love. I mean, it's so iconic. Obviously the book, the movie, the Broadway musical, and now the movie musical, which is really important because that means it's always there. The Broadway musical,
it's a multiverse.
Yeah, it's like if you can't make it to the theater, then you kind of miss that. And so now that we have this, everyone will always be able to experience the musical version of The Color Purple, which I think is really special and lasting. How was it for you to be on that set?
It was spiritual. I mean, it was fun. It was alive. I mean, all of those talented, gifted people, and I'm not just talking about the main cast. Yes, the main cast, but the dancers. See, dancers don't get enough credit.
Oh, the choreography is phenomenal in that movie.
That Fatima is something special.
Iconic, everything.
But the dancers, I have to give them their credit because they elevated us. They lifted us, That scene where that Shug Avery is coming to town, those babies spin and twirled and danced and plied and backflipped until 6 a.m. in the morning. And every time they yelled cut and action, they were just as eager as they were the first take. It was something to see.
I love that build up. That the way it was cut, obviously the way it was choreographed. And Shug is such an iconic character for all of us. And so you got the entrance you deserved. Did you feel like as an actress, as a woman, you had to arrive to that moment? You had to age to that moment? You had to live through some things to get to Shug Avery?
I feel like that's why I didn't do it the first time. I wasn't ready. I hadn't lived enough.
Wow. A lot of life, though.
Yeah, a lot of life. That now I feel like I could bring something really special to her.
Well, you do. And it's really, really stunning. I wanted to ask you, because you bring so much to your characters, what part of Shug Avery did you keep?
Oh, her softness. she was, she could have been a hard, bitter woman, but she chose the gentleness in her. Men, they sexualized her. She gave and I think she reminded me so much of Shug and Hustle and Flow. Now go with me here. Shug and Hustle and Flow was an actual sex worker, right?
Right.
But the reason why they called her Shug, because she was sweet to the core. She was like sugar. And when she would do the deed, servicing men, in her mind, she thought she was fixing their broken pieces, as broken as she was. She thought, this is how you show love, right? Things happened to Shug in Color Purple, right? That could have made her bitter and hard. But again, she showed love through her performances. And not a sex worker, but...
Yeah, she used what she got to get what she needs to get.
Right? But in her mind, that's love. That's the best way she knows how to show love, And I guess for me, the through line, my middle name means love. I'm always going to lead with that. And there come a point in my life when I was becoming bitter with this industry. I could feel it. And I don't ever want the things that I go through in life to harden me, to make me bitter, because I don't think that's what God put me here for. So from Shug, it's her sensuality, even like when I go out now, it's like I do a little more than I would used to. You know what I mean? Like, thank you, Shug.
Because also what's so great about that character, just from the beginning, is that she's one of those amazing Black women that was always fabulous.
Yes. This so, like, rich auntie.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I got from Shug. And I hear the kids calling me that. I'm like, yeah.
Through your Shug era.
Exactly. I'm in my Shug era. Exactly.
So good. No, I felt it. When you got out that car, I said, here she goes. She's going to make us wait. I'm going to be here. Come on, Shug Avery.
I was ready. I'm telling you, it's coming down.
I was ready. No. This is actually when I got here and they said, oh, she's running. I said, as it should be.
Oh, no.
As it should be.
I'm not a diva like that,
That's not diva, though.
Because I was telling my driver, get us there.
Oh, it's legacy. It's legacy. You entered just the way a Shug Avery would have.
Oh, my goodness. I wasn't trying to, though.
You're always worth the wait.
Oh, well, thank you.
Last but not least, we come back to TV.
Yes.
And what I think is an iconic television show. I think I can say that, even though it's 4 seasons in, it's something that will last and will endure. And I'm talking about Abbott Elementary.
Oh,
you come onto screen in such an amazing way. You don't need to open your mouth. You do, and it's funny, and it's amazing, and it's human. Right when we see you, we get a real sense about where Janine comes from. I'm curious what the conversation was like that you had with Quinta about having to play her mother in this show.
Well, I was more me asking her questions because, she's creator, writer. And she was, telling me how it was things that she said, like she has 2 daughters by 2 different men.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One was a musician. And one was an artist, one was more streamlined, and one was just like a horrible dad, right? Like a musician, they're about that nightlife.
Right.
So that tells me a lot. The fact that she still is relying on her daughter for money, she can't keep her finance, she's just a mess of her. Mm-hmm. One thing that I did bring to Quinta's attention, that they wanted me not to wear patterns. And I said, why? I said, Quinta wears patterns and colorful things. Yes. I said, who do you think she gets that from? And they were like, oh, okay, you're right. I said, this woman still dances on tables at the club. Like, she probably dates men 20 years younger than her.
Ooh.
Like, you know what I mean? She's the kid in that dynamic. She's not the mother. Quinta is. Like, she's coming to ask her for money on her job. She's a woman who doesn't follow the rules. Where's your pass? Like, you know, for me, when the writing is good, it's nothing I really have to do. It's there. It was all there.
There's something that the character does that I find to be diabolical.
What?
Okay. Okay. But it makes me laugh. It made me laugh again this morning. And you go to take a selfie with Janine, and she's very happy about it, that you want to take a picture with her.
Oh my God.
And you go to send her the photo because she wants it. And you say, oh, can't do it because I just got cut off. And you look at the camera, and it's just, the whole performance is phenomenal. The Emmy nomination is very well deserved.
Did not see that coming.
And I think what's so great about Quinta is that she's a breath of fresh air.
That's what made it exciting for me to be on that set. And to know that she created this.
Oh, yes.
Like, from the mud, right?
Come on, Philly.
Come on. It's like she did this. And for a Black woman to do this, like, forget about it. I was proud. Actually, I'm a fan of this show. And how I got on the show was we were competing on That's My Jam.
Oh.
And we were backstage and I was singing her praises. And I said, girl, listen, I want to be on the show. Anytime you need me.
I love that you did that.
Yeah. Anytime you need me, call me, girl. Like, I love the show. I'm a fan. If I can help another sister, like, elevate or whatever, like, I'm there. I'm there. Summer Walker called me and was like, can you do my radio show? Yeah. Like, why wouldn't I?
Yes.
You gotta start somewhere. And if you don't get people to help, then how will you rise? You know, God put me here for a reason, and it's not to keep it all to myself. It's got to share it. You know.
Yeah.
And if my little part can help elevate, I'm there.
Last question. What's your definition of a great actress?
I would say a great actress is one who doesn't judge. You can't. A great actress is one who shows and understands grace.
Well, I think your work and your legacy up until this moment, as you continue to build it, is a reflection of that.
Thank
And I think it's because all of your characters are women who are walking through something. And they're walking through these big storms, some of their own creation, some that they didn't see coming. But what I love is that you remind us of ourselves when we are having to walk through a storm. And I think the reason why you're an actress that we all love and we want to come see you in things, but you feel like family.
That's what I get told all the time.
You feel familial.
Yeah.
And familiar. And there's a thing about you that we know you're an actress, we know you're a star, but you also feel like someone who can live next door to us or who we knew or we came up with.
Yeah.
So when we see you living this life that you had to sacrifice so much for and that has cost you so much, it reminds us of our own greatness.
Thank you.
That's what you do. You remind us that we can get through anything.
It's facts.
Yes. And watching your work back to back to back, I got just so emotional about your journey and how much you continue to give. You've had to sacrifice for your gift. So that way the gift would not be sacrificed.
That's what makes you a great actress. A great actor. Actress, actor. And leaning into that fear. Don't run from shit.
And that's a cut.